So this morning we are doing the first session. So this is first session of the day, midday. And hopefully our guest is joining us soon. Hiya.
Hello.
Hiya, you're right.
Yeah, you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, this is exciting.
Have you done one of these before or not?
No, so you're the teacher and I'm going to learn from you.
I feel very responsible now. I'll guide you through it, as were. So basically, we're going to have a continuous card drawing session, but we're going to draw one of your cards, aren't we?
You are, yes.
So, do you want to do some kind of reveal? Do you want to say this is what we're going to do?
So yeah, we're in my Mark 1 Morris Marina today.
Ta-da! There she is.
Well, hey.
There she is. So, we're going to have a go at creating your Morris Marina as a continuous card drawing, which is quite exciting. I've not done one yet, so can you, first of all, introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are, about what you do and why this Morris Marina is the car of choice to create.
I think a lot of people will just say, why Morris Marina in general, to be honest. But yeah, so I'm Steph from IDriveAClassic. I review classic cars, do all sorts of classic car nonsense on my channel. And I've been driving a classic car myself daily since 2009. Started off in Morris Miners. I clearly haven't moved that far.
You just kind of stuck in that M bracket. It was just like Morris Marina.
Metro, yeah, basically. Yeah, so I've got, so now I've got my Morris Miners, so I've still got my original. I've got my Metro, which is a great daily. I use the Marina daily as well. And my best friend Joe has a Marina, and I've heard lots of terrible things about them. And we went out and about in it. We've been on loads of adventures since he moved up to Huddersfield about 4 or 5 years ago, and we've done all sorts of fun in it. And I said, what I'm going to do is get a Morris Marina of my own. And this kind of came up out of the blue. So it was owned by somebody in the Marina Owners Club. He rescued it, and in 2014, 15, and so then he sold it on a couple of years ago, and he sold it to a guy called Pete, and I bought it off Pete in January, and Pete hadn't driven it much, and so I thought I'll just drive it for a week and see how I get on. And actually, in some ways, I prefer it to the Metro because people give you a lot of space on the road. It's really fun to drive. I know people say the handling's a bit iffy, and yeah, sometimes it can be a bit dicey. So I've got some bits in the back weighting the boot down at the moment, which has really improved the handling. But yeah, it's fantastic. Do 60 miles a day in it when I'm working. At the moment I'm on furlough, and I just absolutely love it. I really don't see why people are so critical of them.
Right, well, with no further ado, I'm going to start drawing. So how it works, I put the pen down and draw a continuous line, so I don't lift that pen until the entire outline of the Marina will be done. And in that time, you can kind of talk about like how you started out, how the passions for cars beginning with M particularly, but how you started this kind of online following through YouTube and socials of how you've kind of done that, because there might be people listening who are like, right, how do I get in this kind of these weird times? YouTube and social media has certainly become a platform, so it'd be useful to hear how you're doing that, and also your plans with the car and whatnot as well. So I'm going to start drawing now, so you can tell me, Steph, like how you got into all this. Is it from childhood, or is it a more recent thing? And then I'll crack on and draw this rather lovely Mark 1 Marina.
Yeah, of course. So I always had a big interest in kind of the 60s and stuff like that, 60s, 70s, a bit of the 50s as well, and the interest kind of spiraled. So I started off in a Metro back in the day when I first started driving, and then sorry, I'm getting really distracted by watching you draw. It's fantastic to watch. Yeah, so that was all the way back in 2009, and I said, right, once the Metro comes off the road, because I realised it didn't have long. I'm not silly. And I got it in the February of 2009, and then it went in for an MOT in May or June of 2009, and it failed quite spectacularly. It failed across 3 fail sheets. So I said, right, I'm going to go out and get the classic car that I've always wanted. So I went out. To get a magazine first of all, because I wanted to see what was going on. I looked on eBay, and I started. For once in my life, I actually made a sensible decision. It's not often that I do. And I said, right, I'm going to get a car that has good parts availability, something that is going to keep its value. And I ended up with a Morris Marina. And at first, I was a bit terrified by it. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know anything about cars. I didn't know anything about mechanics. I didn't know anything at all. And just a bit scared of it, because I thought, oh God, what if I break this? What if I do this wrong? And anyway, eventually, through a bit of trial and error, to the point of, I think it was like November time, so November 2009, I went to the hospital for a routine appointment. It got stitched up. Had to work really hard to get it back on the road. So it was a lot of rebuilding. They'd ripped the doors off, smashed every window in.
What was
so
that? What, you just parked it up and it got done?
Yeah, just parked it up, and then I went in St James's Hospital in Leeds, and when I went back in to the hospital to say, oh, this has happened, I was absolutely distraught, because it was November, so it was dark by the time I got back out there. They weren't even surprised. They said, oh, it's happened to loads of people. And I thought, how's this? What is going on? So anyway, had to rehang the doors, so they've got little, like, I think they're called shims in the doors to try and get the doors to sit right, but because the pillar is slightly bent and it's something that can't really put right, the doors still don't shut as well as they could. But I decided it was better to have my car back that I knew, and for it to be as good as I could get it again on a student budget. So that meant kind of putting the windows. The windows were the most interesting thing. So the back, so my seats in the car, because it's disability minor, they fold. So I remember distinctly, to get the back window in, I had to fold the front seats down, lay on my back, there's definitely going to be some jokes here, lay on my back, and then push the back window in with my feet, with somebody else on the outside pushing it in, which is definitely not how you're supposed to do it, but it was the easy thing to do. And I remember, to save money, because the window rubbers were expensive, we had to pick all the glass out of, so all the smashed glass, I just ran a screwdriver around, got it all out. Anyway, it was a bit of a baptism with fire. It wasn't really how I wanted to get into learning about my car, but and I would still say now that I'm very much still a novice compared to some people, because some people's knowledge is just incredible. You meet people that have knowledge that far surpasses mechanics, and you just think, wow, people are incredible. So I had that in 2009, and then I graduated in 2012, and I had a bit of money, and I thought, oh, I'm going to spend it on something stupid. I'm going to get another car. So I kind of really was still very nervous about buying something that wasn't something that I knew quite well. So I ended up buying another Morris Marina, and it was exactly the same, except it was really reliable. It was 500 quid, and it was sold on pre-loved, and that looks amazing.
There's the start of your yeah, there it is. Ta-da! So far.
That's amazing.
So right, now I'm gonna make
that.
it.
That is so cool.
Right, what I noticed though, that on your Instagram you had that photo, which I kind of liked. So I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the background from that photo and put it into this photo.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because I liked it. I was like, it's pink and green and cool and kind of quirky. So I thought, well, because the car's white, you need something to lift it. So I thought I'd do that.
Yeah.
So what's the story behind this photo then?
So we went to one of my very good friends, Stacey, had a birthday party. In fact, it's the last time I went out. So it was March the 8th. We went out and celebrated her birthday, and we did a bit of a location crawl. So I don't drink. So we went out in my marina. We started in Leeds, and then we went to Harrogate, and then we went to Ripon, and it was such a good night. Honestly, it was a brilliant night anyway, but looking back, it was even more, like, when you realise it's the last one, you're like, oh yeah, actually, it was even better. And we were driving back from Ripon, and everyone was, like, quite tired, and we were in a bit of a rush, so we pulled off into a place called Boroughbridge, and that house was in Boroughbridge, and I saw it, and I said to, I was driving everybody home, and I said, look, I'm really, really sorry, I need to pull over and get a picture, just because I absolutely love the house so much. I just thought it was really, really nice.
Well, that's a nice. I'm glad I've chose that picture then, because it's a nice story as well. It's of a happy time. So, just I thought that was quite a cool picture. So it kind of reminded. It always looked like it's shot on like a Polaroid film as well. It's quite the feel to the photo is quite old school.
Yeah, well, I always so this is slightly cheating, but you know when you take a photograph on your iPhone, you can scroll through different filters and stuff.
Yeah.
And so basically there's a filter, I think it's called Vivid Warm, that I always use because I think it just makes photographs look really nice. And also if you up the brightness a little bit, you can knock out, there's a little patch of rust on the front wing on the Marina, and you can knock it out with that. So I'm just like, turn it up. I've got exactly the same patch of rust on the Metro actually, on the front wing, so it's like something I'm quite used to, knocking it out.
So that's the anti-rust filter for any classic car fans tuning in.
I shouldn't tell people that, should I? I should be like, oh yeah, I'm being a really responsible owner.
any tips? Yeah, when I get my Chevette back on the road, that'll be the filter that I'm using for it. So.
I love the Chevette. They're such a nice car.
The Chevette, yeah. I've got one being restored at the moment, so it's been stripped down to being. It's got several holes. When I say several holes, there's more holes than car. So it's being put back together. But it's also going back with an NX5 engine into it as well. So it's not going to have yeah. So we're properly restoring it, and it's going to be a bit lower. It's going to be It's going to look pretty cool when it's done. After that, Morris Minor, one was taken apart in a car park for you. You then thought, I'll buy another one because you could.
I'm an idiot. Yeah. But the cars were cheap back then. Cars were so much cheaper than they are now. You only needed a few £100 to get a car. And I thought at the time, and people that have Morris Minors will kill me for this, is that I thought, well, if the rest of the car, because I bought it blind, it hadn't been driven since the early 80s, and I thought, if I get there and it's horrendous, I'll take, because he said the engine was running, it wasn't seized, and I thought, well, a new engine is, at the time it was like £700, and I thought, well, if nothing else, I'll take the interior out of it and the engine, and that'll be done. I'll put the shell on eBay. Anyway, it was a beautiful car. Currently in my garage in bits. Whoops. So that needs to be put back together. That's where I'd like it to be in the next 3 to 5 years. Is fully rebuilt back on the road. I'm being kind of a little bit more liberal with my timescales than I was before. And then after that, I bought yet another Morris Marina, but this time a 4-door. So by this point, it's a bit like, am I going to buy something else? And then I weirdly had a midlife crisis, bought a Mark II Golf, hated it from the minute I bought it, so I'm not really sure what I was doing. And I had it for a while, and then it was terrible. It was really unreliable. I hated driving it, couldn't park it. It just made me angry every time I drove it. So my friend Ed, who runs Little Garage Classics in Halifax, had a black MG Metro for sale, and I said, oh, I've still got it. And he said, no, but I've just picked up this today, it's a shell. And he sent me a picture of this beige Metro that looked really sad, and I said, oh yeah, I'll have it. And Ed, being a responsible person, a real adult compared to me, he said, no, don't make a decision on the spot, come and see it. So I went to see it, and I said, look, I'll leave a deposit. And he said, no, you don't have to leave a deposit, I know you, it's fine. And between us, we sourced all the parts, because finding parts for a Mark I Metro is the most difficult thing in the world. It needed an engine, because the engine had been robbed by a Mini person, and so got that in the April of 2017, and it took until the October to get it back on the road. So there was a lot of work involved, which Ed did, and he did a fantastic job of it, because I've done best part of 50,000 miles since then, all over the country, go different places, and which kind of leads me on to how I got into YouTube. So I went to the NEC Classic Car Show. Sorry, I keep moving. Went to the NEC Classic Car Show, the Resto one in March last year, and I was talking to another exhibitor who's on the same stand, Ed, that people might know from Twin Cam Cars. Neither of us had done anything on YouTube at this point, and he said, you know, what about, I was talking to him about how to take my Instagram further, because I've been doing quite well on that. And he said, well, why don't you try YouTube? And I said, oh, you know, everybody you see on YouTube is, like, especially women, they're all gorgeous, they look like supermodels. And he said, look, you know, classic car people are just normal people, you know, give it a go, see how you feel. So anyway, I got into it, and I put my first video up in April last year, and it did quite well. And I thought, oh, let's do another one. And then somebody said to me, you will never be anybody. You will never be anybody. You will never be able to do YouTube. You're rubbish. And I'm quite a stubborn person, and a lot of my friends were very supportive. And I spoke to my friends and I said, you know, is it rubbish? And be honest. And they gave me some tips to improve. And I went away and I tried to improve. And then by the May, so like the first month, 6 weeks in, I had 250 subscribers. So I thought, well, it can't, because 250 people are watching, and I don't know 250 people, so some of these must be strangers that are watching. And then by the August, September, October time, it hit 1,000 subscribers, and I thought, I don't know 1,000 people. I'd given myself the goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers in the first year, so I was really kind of shocked. And then a couple of weeks ago now, I hit 10,000 subscribers, and honestly, I just didn't expect it. And I guess for people that are maybe looking to get into that sort of thing, is that the bit of advice I give is don't be afraid to be yourself, because I was really frightened to be myself and I'll be blunt with you, be a fat woman online, and I was really nervous about that. And I do get comments occasionally and be quite negative sometimes, but it's opened up my life so much, and it's let me meet so many new people. And already I had a really good social life because of the classic cars, to be fair. Before that, I didn't really. I was a bit of a kind of just didn't really have much going on. So that kind of opened it up even more, and I've been able to test some amazing cars like the all-car Snuggie, and we explored the scrapyard in Belgium, and all sorts of stuff that's gone on. And you know, I've spoken to people like Ian over on Hubnut, and he's been hugely supportive. Like, I've had questions, and even stupid questions like, what should I do about this, or what should I do about that, and he's been really supportive as well. So I think it's kind of, for somebody who wants to do that, I would say don't be frightened to be yourself, because being somebody that you aren't is going to be really hard to carry on being. Yep. And I'd say don't be frightened to, no matter what you look like or how you sound or what you're wearing or anything, just put yourself across and just be yourself, and talk about what you love and talk about what you know, whether that's you have just one car that you talk about. So there's a chap called Ricky who's doing a channel on Allegros, and he's just talking about his Allegro. There is an audience for everything, and I guess that even if you haven't got that technical aspect right straight away, so like until this month, because I'm swapping onto a computer this month, I've just ordered one, is that don't be frightened to just start with your iPhone. So I film everything I do on my iPhone. I edit it all on my phone with a free app called InShot, which is a bit rubbish, to be fair, but it's done me well for the last year before I move on to using a Mac. So you've got all the tools at your disposal. I'm sure most people have got a smartphone, especially if they're watching this. So all you need really is a smartphone and just having a go, and get your friends to help you, and get your friends to give you some honest feedback, and ask people what they want to see as well, and like talk to people, I think, because I think a lot of people put content out there but don't necessarily enter into a two-way form of communication. And just, if you enjoy what you do and you do the best job that you can, if nothing else, you come out with a really good kind of almost like a diary or a journal, like an online journal of what you've actually done. So like,
yeah, totally. I mean,
last year my videos were...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, I just totally agree. Like, yeah, I use Instagram as a photo journal almost. Like, yeah, so for me to remember what I did in what order, yes, I'm writing numbers on them, but actually it's quite nice to go through where when I did them, what times and whatever. So yeah, like I say, I mean, the best way is use the platforms that you feel comfortable with, and and generate the following on the platforms that is your thing. And I think to have an identity is absolutely key. If I'm not covered in paint at events, people don't know who I am. Like, I will go to whatever event covered in paint because that's my identity. Like, that's what people know me for. So if I'm all like smartly dressed, and people are like, I think you're absolutely bang on there. Like, you've got to be in a position to be comfortable because you don't know what your viewers, your product that they're looking or engaging with, and whether that's classic cars, modern cars, super, whatever. It's about having an engaging personality, and you certainly have that. You the way you talk about it is, I'm just listening. I'm enjoying listening to it. So for me, this is like my own personal YouTube video, where I'm just doing my job whilst hearing how you've, in a relatively short amount of time, you've gone from having 200 or no YouTube followers to 10,000, and that's great. I think that really shows the strength of the brand and product that you're doing.
It's really bizarre, and I think that we live. I'm going to get on my high horse now. Sorry, but I just think that we live in a world where both men and women. I think people always think about women having unrealistic expectations, but men do too. And a lot of, you see things like Love Island, or you see all these programs on television, and they say to people, you need to look the certain way, you need to look like that. And I think that if there's one thing that I'd want people to take away, apart from like learning about the cars and stuff, is that you should just kind of just be happy with being yourself. Like, and it's taken me a long time to be comfortable with being myself. I can't, be hypocritical for me to say otherwise, but I think that we live in a society that says, do this, or you've got to fit into this size, or you've got to have lip fillers, or you've got to have these amazing nails and stuff. And it's like, actually, when all's said and done, and as we see as we go through lockdown, and we can't access some of these things that prop up these media friendly images, is that actually what boils down to, we don't miss people because we miss their amazing nails, or we don't miss them because of their gym sculpted bodies. We miss people's personalities and people's souls, and I think that that's something that we all connect with when we watch somebody on television or YouTube. Isn't, we don't necessarily connect with what the way they look. Maybe we connect with who they actually are as a person.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what. Yeah, and it's what we miss about people, isn't it? During lockdown as well, is that we're missing people's personalities and presences and stuff. And that's something I'd say to people, like, no matter what you look like or how you feel about yourself or whatever, there's going to be somebody out there who enjoys what you're putting out.
I mean, I could, having a quick conversation earlier and seeing the style that you go, I need to put you in touch with a lady called Auntie Olive's Attic, and she does retro clothing, and totally, I think you'll love what she the shop that she runs at Fargo, where I'm based. I think you'll like it for sure. So Auntie Olive's Attic on Instagram, Facebook, and I don't think Twitter, but definitely on Instagram. Yeah, I think you two will get along just really, really well.
I need to start off. I don't need another excuse to spend money. Why am I buying all this clothing in lockdown? Like, who's even going to see it? But yeah, for anybody who, because I know people always ask me about what I'm wearing and where I got it and stuff, I literally just go on eBay and search. Well, I have it set up as an alert now, but it's lowest to high, filtered by my dress size, and it's all crimply, and some items, like this dress that I'm wearing, was £3, whereas other stuff's a bit more expensive, but I never spend more than about £40 on an item. So it's a very, weirdly, it's a very accessible look for anybody who wants to actually dress like this.
No, it's cool. I think it goes with the classic car look really, really well. So yeah, that's continue that style, I say.
Thanks. I think my only big expenditure is my hair, because I go to this amazing lady called I Love Lucy, and she's just about to open her new salon in Leeds, actually, because she was in Manchester before, and it's not a quick drive for me to get over to her, but I saw all her amazing pictures. So she's called I Love Lucy, and it's Lucy IE for any ladies that are watching and want fabulous hair. And I saw her profile, thought, oh god, she must be so expensive and all the rest of it. And when I got in contact with her, it was so competitively priced. And the first time I went in there, she made me chop loads of my hair off because I'd ruined it by dyeing it every 2 weeks. But she keeps my hair looking the way it is. And I always say, like, what I don't spend on clothes, even though I do spend quite a bit, and all the rest of it, the hair is the one thing that is my kind of my big luxury spend, because I just think you can't put a price on a good haircut, which is certainly something I've learnt whilst trimming my own fringe in lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier,
So,
I went for a light trim on my beard earlier. I had like a big bushy beard, and I went for a light trim and got the setting wrong. So my beard is going to have to grow back. You know, it's never mind. The error on my part, totally there. So let's bring it back into the cars. So in terms of stuff that you've driven and experienced over the last year and a bit, since the channel's kind of exploded a little bit more, what have been the best ones that you've the kind of the highlights so far?
Oh, what are the highlights? The Snuggie, the all-car Snuggie was absolutely hilarious. So it's this, it's a sans permis vehicle, which is basically what they used to give to French people that lost their licences through drink driving in the 70s. And it's this mad thing that looks like some sort of Lego toy. And we got overtaken by a mobility scooter. That is how slow it was. So people were like, oh, what if you ran somebody over? Look, if you can't move before that thing gets to you, then something else is going to hit you first. It was so slow, but it was so funny. In terms of luxury, I think the thing, in fact, a really controversial thing, the thing that I didn't like, and I thought I was going to, was the Beetle. I was really kind of disappointed by that. And I went and tested a Simca around. I'd seen one in this scrapyard, and I said, I really want to drive one. And I got hooked up with this guy, and I went down to Hailing Island near Portsmouth, and I drove it. Beautiful car, stunning example, but I don't know, it just wasn't for me. And then the car that surprised me was probably, I really enjoyed the Snuggie for the hilarity factor, but I never thought of myself as a bit of a Ford person. And then I drove the Corsair, and I drove Joe's dad's Zephyr, both of which were absolutely amazing to drive. And they both took me by surprise. I thought I was just going to like the styling of them, but when I got behind the wheel, I couldn't believe how good the quality was. Like, I was really, really impressed with that. And the Allegro was a lot smoother than I expected. I thought that was going to be a bit, because my Metro could be a bit like tinny, rickety, but this Allegro was really well built, and I thought, I really can't understand why people slag them off so much. What else? When you like put on the spot and you're trying to think.
If you ever get a chance, you should go down. If the kind of the classic Fords have kind of caught your eye, go. You need to get in touch with Ford UK and ask to go and see the Shed, which is their historic fleet.
Oh.
And the Shed is amazing. Like, I was very lucky to be shown around the Shed by a chap who'd actually bought a lot of those cars and had worked at Ford for 30 years. So Paul showed me around, and it is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. What they've got in there is just properly incredible. So if you ever get a chance, you need to go and chat to some of the press offices and see their heritage fleets. Honda have got a heritage fleet, and Toyota as well. And some of the cars in there are just brilliant. Oh, still there? Oh.
No, do you know what? It just shocked me, because I didn't think I was going to gel with it. I just didn't think I was going to gel with it at all, and it really shocked me when I did. And I thought, it was just beautiful to drive. And then my other half's got a Humber Super Snipe. Didn't know anything about 9 months ago. I didn't really know anything about roots groups, really, in my my field of interest, so to speak. And I took out the Hillman Minx, which was absolutely gorgeous. And then Josh said I could take out, well, he didn't. I kind of had to forced him to let me take out a Super Snipe, and he said, "Oh, you'll find it really difficult to drive." And anyway, I drove it, and it was absolutely stunning. Before I started the channel, that I didn't really know too much about all the Roots Group stuff, and I've just been so not surprised, but I didn't realise that it was such good quality. And it's just all the cars that you take out are just incredible. And I know people say that, especially with things like the Minx, that the front wings rot. And yeah, but that's the curse of every car of that age, really, isn't it? They all tend to rot out, and they all tend to kind of go that way, because most of them now well over the age of 40, 50 years old, aren't they? Yeah,
and that's and the cars that were built back in that day weren't certainly given the aftercare products, or things were bare metal, or there wasn't the amount of of measures in place that are on modern cars that there are now.
Well, no, but very interestingly, so a lot of people a really kind of geeky, interesting fact for you is that so the ADO16, also known as that 1100, 1300 model, it was such a big seller in the 60s. I think it was only knocked off like 1 year, I think it was like 67, by the Ford Cortina. But the biggest complaint from customers had been that the rust proofing was absolutely shocking on the car, and that people were finding their cars were rotting out in kind of 3-4 years, and they just weren't lasting at all. So when they came to do the Allegro, they thought about that, and they did all sorts. Like they put, they've got like these little plastic guards on the inside of the wing. They've got, they had, I think they were undersealed from the factory. So I think it was at that point in kind of the 70s, 80s, where people started thinking, well, what can we do to make these cars last? And in fact, I'm going to stick up for the Metro here, actually, because a lot of people say, oh, the Rotterdam, but there was actually, especially in the early days, there was the ability to take them back to British Leyland to be sorted out under this. There was some sort of rust proofing warranty, and a lot of people just didn't, because I think they probably thought, well, it's just a bit of a pain, got a lot to do today, and so a lot of these cars rotted out unfairly. I don't think people say you should have foreseen it, but all cars of that age rotted out, didn't they? You see all sorts on everything from like Ford through to, as you will know with your Chevette, everything rots, doesn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's very rare that you get a car that doesn't. However, a car that has impressed me on testing, and every example I've seen that has been really, really nice, is the Nissan Bluebird.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. My friend Kat's going to kill me because she drives one of these, but it's not the most exciting of cars, even though it does play a little jingle if you leave the lights on and you open the door. But the quality on it, in terms of especially things like how it stands up today, it's a really, really good car. They're actually a really good buy.
I think the Bluebird was the first Nissan engineered and was then re-engineered by Nissan UK, and so where they do all the development work for like Duke and everything else. The first car that they actually kind of re-engineered for the UK market.
I think you're right there. It's up in Sunderland, isn't it? So it's where that's where obviously they went on to make the K10 and obviously all the other cars. It's interesting actually how well they did, but also by going into Sunderland, it meant that they could then target the European market, because where if you weren't based in the EU or you weren't based in the UK, you were paying tariffs. So by doing that, they were then able to move into new markets and new territories, which I think is always really interesting to know. Yeah, no, it's. I went on the new Duke launch recently, and it's. I don't know where the engineer. It's down near the Oxford way. It's part of a university site as well, but that's where they design and develop all the new cars. And I think they had a timeline on the wall, and the Bluebird was one of the first cars that were on that timeline. Oh, really? Yeah. So, so it's not for people to see that as well. So I think we're nearly there, I'd say, in terms of. You made it look amazing. amazing.
It's, I haven't painted in all the rust parts. Did you want me to paint the rust in or not?
That's really cheeky. Well, to be honest, there's already a bit of artistic license, so maybe you could use the artistic license not to paint in that little rust patch.
I'll paint it. I'll put it in gold if it's not brown. It's a beautiful gold instead.
Yeah. Oh, that would actually be hilarious. Please do.
But yeah. So we are nearly there. So where can people engage with your videos? What's your social handles, etc., etc.?
Yeah, so I've kept it really simple. I'm IDriveAClassic on Facebook, all one word. Same on Twitter, so it's just twitter.com/IDriveAClassic. YouTube, just search IDriveAClassic, all one word. I always title the videos IDriveAClassic reviews or whatever, because I've found that a lot of people search for my handle, so I've just put it in all the videos. So you should be able to find it, just type in IDriveAClassic, and then on Instagram as well, so anybody who's watching will already know that. Yeah, anybody who's watching on YouTube at a later date, again, just IDriveAClassic, or one word. And I think that people sometimes think that I only cover BL cars, which would be my absolute dream, but I do actually cover all sorts of stuff, so everything from the weird and wonderful through to, I really like French cars, to be honest, like the French stuff, and so I'm not biased in any way whatsoever. And then in terms of how I like to do the channel is that I think sometimes people think I'm a bit too positive, but I think that if you want to watch a TV programme where people drop a piano on a car or criticise it or rip into a car because of, it doesn't stand up against a car made in 2020, well, there's plenty of stuff for that already. I like to take a car and find out why someone would have chosen that. What are the good points about it? What makes it different from something else that they could have bought at the same time? So I always try and find out what it would have gone up against, what it would have been pitched against, and say to you, well, this and this. So when I took the Allegro out, I talked about how it followed on from the ADO 16, 1100, 1300 cars. So then I try and also, but this is very much, so anyone who, in fact, I am going to do a shameless plug here. Anybody who wants to see their car on IDriveAClassic, my only stipulation is that it is pre-2000. But anybody who'd like to see their car on IDriveAClassic, please drop me an email. It's idriveaclassic@gmail.com. And I always like to try and get the owners on as well, because I think if you are going to tell a story, then you should try and get the person who owns the car on, because why they picked that car, why is it so special? And I think that one of my favourite stories was probably when I went to speak to the guy with the Hillman Minx, and Kev, and his granddad had one, and it was just, when he was telling the story, you felt like you really understood why he'd bought the car. And I think that's such a powerful element of when you review a car, is to find out why somebody bought that, what makes them tick and why they did it. Although I do understand that some people don't want to do that, so that's fine as well, but I think it really adds to it. And it's I don't know, have you ever watched
Ta-da!
amazing.
So I'll just hold that up a little bit.
That is,
There we are. Hopefully you can see that.
that's amazing. People are going to be really disappointed if they see my car in real life. It's not that cool.
Well, I think it was cool. I think that's a photo I sent over. So I think it looks grand. So that's number 260 in the continuous car collection, as it were, which will be on the crowdfunder continuous wheels. It's on the crowdfunder. Only a few more days to get behind that as well. So so hopefully all these drawings will feature in the continuous wheels book as well. But it's been awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you for finding out about what you've been up to. I'm really excited to see this. All the footage put together. The Marina will be part of the book.
Perfect. Oh, fantastic. Oh, thank you so much, Ian. It's been such a privilege to watch you draw not just any car, but my car. So thank you so much. And